What is up, guys? I'm back again, just a guy on my lunch break. Appreciate you joining me. Um, right out of the gate, 20 days today off of Kratom. Glad to be able to put that 2. uh, glad for the first digit to be a 2 at this point. That feels good. That feels like a success in and of itself. So that's a good thing. If you appreciate the transparency by which I talk about all of my deepest, darkest secrets and issues surrounding substance abuse, and you find strength in that, you find empowerment in hearing someone else, give a description of the different paths and the different rabbit holes, if you will, that drug addiction has taken them down in life, and you find strength in that, and you find power in the numbers. We're up to almost 350 subscribers now. The channel is apparently helping people. I've had endless comments of people jumping on and saying, I really appreciate your videos. This has helped me a lot. It's really motivated me to curtail my use. I feel trapped by Kratom. I feel stuck. This and that and the third. And your videos have really helped me. So if that's you, it's a free service. I don't ask for any payment on here. Just hit that subscribe button. It takes you 2 seconds and you never have to worry about it again. That is your payment to me for spending half of my lunch break every day with you guys talking about substance abuse and talking about Kratom abuse and how maybe you can curtail that use by whether either you're just quitting cold turkey or if you're doing like a slow taper. Just so you know, I've been kind of promoting this recently. I do have a playlist that I've created called Kratom Taper Playlist. And this playlist includes all of my videos from, about a month and a half back to where I started my taper on Kratom. And I'm not sure exactly how many videos it consists of, but you're welcome to binge watch that. I talk about it from day to day. I do at least 5 videos every week during the weekdays, at least, discussing how how much I'm dropping my dose each day, the things I'm doing to kind of help decrease the severity of any withdrawals I'm having, including a couple of, supplements, vitamins that I might be taking, ways that I'm helping myself sleep at night. I talk about my exercise routines on here, everything, all of it. So you can also go back and watch that. Everything's good. Even on day 20, to be completely honest, I'm still having a little kind of restless leg issues. I'm sure it's just really too early to tell. This could possibly be something that's just me. Both of my parents have, a condition called restless leg syndrome. And, we talked about this before too. It's kind of hard to know, as someone who has always used something in your life, it's kind of hard to know what my baseline sobriety is. It's kind of hard to know which issues that I might be experiencing, whether it be during my daytimes or at night, when I go to sleep. It's hard to know what of that is self-inflicted, that I've caused, that I've brought on myself by, using some sort of substance all the time, or coming off of, whether it's a side effect of using Kratom for 4 years, or if it's just me, if it's something that's genetic, if it's something that, that I just am predisposed to deal with. It's kind of hard to know, because I'm kind of in that interim period where, it's 20 days is pretty good, and definitely most any acute withdrawals that I've had seem to have subsided at this point. The mood's pretty good. The energy seems to be pretty good. Although I do exercise, I do eat healthy, I do drink a ton of water, I take vitamins, all that stuff, which I think, kind of helps to turn the corner on that, those withdrawals a lot quicker. But, still 20 days is only 20 days. And a lot of people, when it comes to something like Kratom or some other opiate-like substance, people say that the post-acute withdrawals can linger for a while, you know? And there are certainly reports of the PAWS, as they call them, it's an acronym for post-acute withdrawal syndrome, can linger well past a month. Some reports say 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, you know. I don't necessarily agree with that. That sounds more like a death sentence to me. And to be honest, after 20 days of being completely off of it, I feel pretty damn good, you know. I mean, I know that there's going to be times where, you know, the roughest thing that I've dealt with throughout this whole process since I've been off is just having moments where I'm like having cravings. You know, that's been the worst thing for me. And everyone's different, you know. And a lot of people, I think the worst thing for them, at least from what I'm seeing, a lot of people are saying that the worst aspect for them is like being depressed, you know, low mood, just kind of sad, you know, no energy, that sort of thing. And people report that those sort of symptoms lingering for a long period of time. I personally haven't really experienced that. Now, again, I'm only 20 days off, you know. I mean, I might go 2 months, and then all of a sudden on the 60-day mark, I wake up and I'm like, damn, I'm depressed AF. I just don't even want to live anymore. No, that's not going to happen. You know, I'm one of those people that, aside from the Kratom that I just came off of, you know, I'm a guy who's pretty much has my affairs in order. You know, I have a wonderful family, my immediate family, beautiful wife, 2 beautiful children, a beautiful home that sits on a lake, kind of private lot. I have a hot tub on you know, one of my decks, on my lower deck. And my parents are both still alive. They live 2 miles down the street from me. Although they're getting older, they live down the street. And I have a brand new baby at home that's only 3 months old. So I'm one of those guys that just, outside of Kratom, I am just absolutely, God has just blessed me. I'm just a blessed individual. I have a good job. My wife has a good job. I have no complaints. I have no complaints in life. You know, and I'm sure that coming off of something like Kratom and being blessed enough to have all my other affairs in order probably helps. You know, that probably helps with mitigating any severe depression and low mood and stuff like that. But I will say, when I was in the middle of the cyclone of addiction with Kratom, and I was taking a lot of it, and then there was a couple of times where I tried to quit. I tried to do like a cold turkey situation. I can tell you, I went through some days where I was not really seeing all those blessings. I wasn't. I went through some times where I was definitely depressed, definitely low mood. But for me, this was more within the acute withdrawal stage. You know, so far, and I don't have any wood to knock on. It's closest thing I have right there. This hard ass noggin that I got. I think that comes from kickboxing, getting punched in it. But so far, I have not really experienced a lot of negative post-acute withdrawals. And again, you know, it's early. It's only 20 days. I'm sure I'll have people jump in the comments. Oh, you're not there yet, bro. Just wait. Everybody's different, you know, and I think the amount of and the intensity of the post-acute withdrawals that people experience have to do with or are affected by a lot of different things. I think it can have to do with how much you were taking. There's people out there that were taking 40, 50 grams of Kratom per day. There's people out there that are taking far more than that, you know. So if you were a person who was a really, really, really heavy user like that, I'm thinking you might have a little more of the post-acute withdrawals, and it might linger for a little longer. The ones that you do have might be a little more intense, a little worse. The mood might be a little lower. The depression might be a little worse. All of those things, you know. And so it's one of those things where I was only taking, you know, and for I would say 85% of the whole time that I used Kratom, which was about 4 years, I would say about 85% of that was me taking capsules and only taking roughly like 9, 10, 11 grams per day, maybe. You know, there were a few times here and there where I probably took a little more than that, but never really more than, I'd say 13 grams per day was probably my absolute max when it came to taking the capsules. So I just never really was taking a whole lot of it, you know. I mean, that's a lot for some people, and a lot of people would consider that quite a lot. But then there are others, the 40 gram per dayers, you know, those people would be like, oh, 10 grams per day, that ain't shit. You know, it's all about perspective. It depends on who you are and what your prior situation with Kratom is. But not a lot on the post-acute withdrawal so far. Mood's pretty good. No real depression to speak of, or, you know, the energy seems to be pretty well there as well. Again, keeping in mind, I do the exercise, I do the water, I do the vitamins, I eat super healthy fruits and vegetables. All of those things, I'm sure, are helping. I think for a person who is sedentary, who is not healthy, who does not drink anything but sugared beverages and eat anything but processed foods, that person coming off of something like Kratom, I imagine, is going to have a significantly more difficult time with not only the acute withdrawals, but the post-acute withdrawals. There is no specific scientific evidence for me on that. That's just what my experience has been. You know, and back in the day, 15 years ago or more, when I was struggling with my Vicodin and my Percocet addiction, that's an interesting scenario, because at that time in my life, I was not healthy. You know, I was taking the pain pills, but I also was not eating healthy. I also was not exercising regularly. I don't remember if I was drinking a lot of water or not. I think probably I wasn't. I wasn't doing anything else right. Why would I have been drinking water, right? You know, but this is when I was a 28, 29, 30-year-old guy just being an idiot addict, you know. And sometimes it takes getting older and learning a few lessons from the school of hard knocks and starting to see your body and your health break down a little bit, that kind of snaps you back into reality that, like, dude, you got to do better than this. You're freaking killing yourself here, you know. And that's kind of where in my early 40s, late 30s, early 40s, I kind of got to that point. You know, I went through about 8 to 10 years in my early 30s, right up until, I'm 47 now, by the way, but I went from about 10 years, I smoked cigarettes, I was taking Adderall every day, barely eating anything, drinking Monsters all the time. I mean, just a super unhealthy guy. And it's, when I look back on it now, I'm almost shocked. Like, dude, that was you. Like, what were you thinking, dude? That's crazy. You know, because now, I mean, I had my stint with Kratom or whatever, but, you know, I got to be in my early 40s and started having a couple of health concerns and stuff like that. And I was like, damn, I have to turn this shit around, man, and quick. And so I did. And as of about the past 5-6 years, I've been, you know, tractor beam focused, laser focused on making sure I do all of the right things. You know, the exercise, eating lots of fruits and vegetables, eating a balanced diet, drinking a ton of water, you know, all of these things that are indicative of good physical health and mental health, in my opinion. I've been doing all those things for the last, 5-6 years. And that could be the reason that my experience with coming off of Kratom hasn't been as severe. Again, 15 years ago when I came off of Vicodin and Percocets, that was Vicodin and Percocets. So I think, tribal knowledge tells us that those withdrawals are probably worse than from something like Kratom. But what I'm trying to illustrate to all you guys is you can't truly compare the two if your mindset and your physical health lifestyle was completely different with one with the other. The Percocet withdrawal was absolutely 100% worse, physically and emotionally. But I also was unhealthy in every other area of my life. Wasn't drinking water, wasn't eating healthy, I was being sedentary, all of these things, right? I was watching a ton of porn. I mean, I just had any sort of soul-stealing addiction that you can imagine. I was dealing with that, when I was in my late 20s and early 30s. So it was just a bad deal for me all the way around, and now this time around coming off of Kratom, I mean, Kratom's the only thing I did, the only thing. I put down the Adderall years ago, put down the cigarettes, started exercising every day, cleaning my lungs out, started flushing out toxins with water, eating a bunch of fiber so I could keep my body, flushed out and everything running smoothly. It makes a big difference. And I know I beat that exercise drum on here all the time, and I know some of you guys probably get tired of hearing it, but hey, you tune into the channel to get help, do you not? So if you're a person that's not doing that, and you're trying to come off of something like Kratom, get your ass in gear, get yourself outside or to the gym or wherever it is that you can challenge yourself and break a little bit of a sweat and get your heart pumping. Because that and eating healthy and drinking tons of water and taking a vitamin or two here and there is going to be your key to not just surviving through this withdrawal or taper process, but that's going to be your key in busting through the door like fucking Superman or Superwoman. That's going to be the difference. God, I gotta stop cursing, man. Sorry for dropping the F-bomb and the shit. I mean, I don't mind so much the shit bomb. That's okay. That's not a big deal. As my mom's dad, my papa used to say, he used to say shit's not a curse word. As he said the word shit in front of his 7, 8, 9-year-old grandchildren. I always thought that was funny. He didn't say SHIT is not a curse word, because he would say it in front of my mom, his daughter, my mother. He would say he would say the word. He would say the word shit, and my mom would try to correct him because she didn't want him to say that in front of us. And then he'd turn right back around and say it again. Shit's not a curse word. Anyway, that's the only word he said. God rest his soul. He passed away 20-something years ago, but he was a good man, though. I didn't ever hear him say anything worse than that, but he lived and died by the fact that shit is not a curse word. Oh, man. Anyway, I'm going to walk down memory lane there for me. So yesterday, another successful day, not using anything. I'm completely out of kava at this point. When I was going through my tapering process, and even a little bit after completely coming off of Kratom, I preached a little bit about kava, kind of how it helped you a little bit at night with some of the withdrawals, some of the sleeplessness, the insomnia that you experience when either tapering or going through a withdrawal. And I talked about maybe a week or so ago that I was almost out of the current bag of kava that I had. Well, I ran out of that a couple of days ago. I fixed the very last, I didn't even have a full dose left. I had maybe 2 tablespoons of kava root left in a bag. Fixed that a couple of nights ago, took what was left of it. So last night and the night before last, I'm completely out of kava, and I haven't ordered any more kava because I'm one of those people, if I'm going to come off, I would prefer to get myself back to 100% baseline, to where I'm not using X, Y, and Z and then going back to A, B, C, D, E, F, G, U. A lot of people come off of something like Kratom and they're using like a million freaking things to help them get off of it. And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, don't you want to see, don't you want to see where you're at? You were born and you come into this world. You're born into this world not taking shit. You don't pop out of your mom's womb and they start offering you gabapentin and Xanax. And so, I mean, it doesn't happen that way. And a lot of people when they get older, they experience certain traumas and stuff like that, so they start using those things, but then they hold on to those excuses indefinitely and on into their adulthood. And I've heard all kinds of stuff. Well, I was born in this, my parents were abusive, and my parents split up when I was 12 years old, and I hate my job, and I this and of that, and like, dude, you're never gonna get clean. I mean, if that's your thought process on a regular daily basis, so what? You ever gone and listened to David Goggins' story? I mean, this dude grew up in a household with a father who should have raised snakes, who should have raised cobras, not humans. And this guy was abused physically, he was abused emotionally, spiritually, every freaking way that you can think of. He was abused. And his mom and dad, divorced when he was very young, and which is a good thing, because the type of abuse that he saw his mom take. I mean, he saw his mom get tossed down a flight of stairs. He saw her with busted lips, blackened eyes, all these things. And this guy goes through this sort of childhood and is now the man he is today. And you're going to jump on my channel and start telling me, well, sucks because my parents divorced when I was 12 years old, and I hate my job, and my job doesn't do anything for it. Just negative freaking Nancys and negative freaking Nathans all over the place. Can't see the positive in anything. And when you start counting what you do have in life, and then you're counting what you don't have or what you wish you did have, the scale balance is completely over here. I mean, find some positive, man. Even if the positive is just that little light inside you that says you can do more, you can do better. There's a reason they call it the past. It's past. It's gone. It's over with. Quit focusing on that shit and move towards the future. You know what I mean? So yesterday, my mother-in-law, if you've been following me for a while, my mother-in-law, who's originally from Connecticut, her husband passed away. My father-in-law passed away last year, and she moved from Connecticut down south here in North Carolina. She's about 15 minutes up the road from my wife and I, partly because her husband passed away, and then secondly, my wife and I had a son, and so she has a new grandchild down here in the south. And so she had every reason just to leave the Connecticut home, sell it, and move down here and move south. So she did that a couple of weeks ago. Her two sisters, who were from Connecticut also, flew down. I think it was Friday. I think they flew down maybe on Tuesday, something like that. And have been staying with her for a few days. They're going to go down to Fort Mill, South Carolina, which is about an hour and a half from here, in a couple of days to see my brother-in-law and his wife and their kids, because they've also moved down south, one state over from us. That's another reason she moved from Connecticut. But last night, they came by our house. Her sisters wanted to see my wife and I's home and come over and spend some time with River and stuff like that. So they came over. My mother-in-law treated us all to dinner, stuff like that. I don't know my mother-in-law sisters very well, and this was, if you're a substance abuser, you'll feel where I'm coming from when I say this, but that was a trigger for me. When you're around family members of somebody you respect a lot, like your spouse or somebody like that, and you're meeting new people, or you're going to be like in a social sort of situation with people, where you're going to be expected to communicate, talk a little bit, listen, some verbal communication, feedback, and some give and take sort of communication. That's a trigger. That's one of those times where, when I was using Kratom, I would have absolutely, let me get me a little something, let me get home and take myself a little something so my mood can kind of be lighter. when everybody comes over. And of course, you know, I had the slight thought, you know, of, well, I should stop and get myself some. Oh, you've been doing really well, dude. You've been doing really well. You should stop and get yourself a little something. You know, I mean, when I say I have the thought, you know, I think sometimes I oversell it. I'm one of those people that the reason I'm on here is to talk about these things, to help you guys identify those thoughts and those triggers in your own self. So when I say that I had this thought that, oh, maybe you could take something, maybe you could just this once, it's not going to hurt anything. You know, it wasn't something that took up half of my day. You know, I'm just verbally communicating to you guys the kind of triggers and the kind of thoughts that you will have when coming off of something like Kratom. There's a reality. You're used to having it. You're used to having it. And your brain is used to and accustomed to being comfortable by defaulting to, well, if I just take this, then I don't have to feel anything, or then I don't have to feel any stresses. Or when I'm communicating with this person, my mood can automatically be lifted. I don't have to do anything to work for that dopamine kick. I can just take something, right? And our brains, brain of an addict, tend to 100% default to that. So of course I had the thought when I, you know, knew that we had some family members coming by who had never seen the home before. We were going to share dinner together. They were going to be there for a couple of hours. I knew we were going to be in the same space, you know, so I couldn't just sit there like a knot on a log, but I wanted to at the same time, you know, be a personable individual to my wife's aunts, you know. And so obviously I didn't stop and get any. I went home completely sober, you know, cleaned up the house a little bit before they came over, did a few things like that. And I, you know, spent the whole evening completely sober. I didn't have a drink. I didn't, nothing like that. And that felt good. And you know what? I'm going to be completely honest. You know, there's a few moments where it's kind of a little awkward because I'm still, you know, 4 years on something like Kratom where you're under the influence of it all day, pretty much all the time. You're going to go through some periods of time where it's like you're still trying to kind of, you know, you're kind of trying to figure it out a little bit, you know. I'm not used to communicating with people on a social basis. You know, at work, it's something a little different. You know, I have short, like, interactions with my co-employees just to kind of take care of a few tasks or whatever that I'm working with them on. And it's very surface, like, you know, I don't know, looking over an Excel sheet or addressing some sort of issue that we need to address or something, you know, and it's like quick little interactions. You're in their office for a couple of minutes, take care of what you need to take care of, boom, you're out. You're on to the next task. You're on to the next thing. So, you know, and so that's a little different. You know, I can just kind of bang, 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 go from one thing to another. I don't have to sit down and have these long, like, personal or drawn out sort of conversations with people. And not only that, I don't have any emotional connection with these people that I work with. They're just employees. You know, I like them well enough. I mean, they're good folks and everything, but they're not my family, you know? And so I definitely had a few moments with, you know, the aunts where I was just like nodding my head and they're, you know, talking a lot. And I'm kind of like, oh, what do I say back? I don't really, you know, I don't have a lot of familiarity, or, you know, I can't necessarily relate to what they're talking to me about right now. So it got, for me at least, I don't think for them, because they don't have an issue. They never had an issue with Kratom, you know. For me, it got a little bit awkward, you know, a couple of times where I was just like, oh wow, she's talking a lot. I don't want to say, you know, I don't have the elevated mood. Usually when I get home in the evenings and I'm at my house in the evenings, I've taken something. You know, I've usually taken something, and I'm used to being in a, like, oh, you know, elevated, lifted sort of mindset. Well, I wasn't last night. I was just my sober self. So I had a couple of moments that were a little weird, but you know what? It was what it was. And I pushed through it. I kind of just went into autopilot mode. and was very friendly, very personable. I was a great host, and I kind of had to force it a little bit a couple of times, but dude, I know that'll get better. I know that'll get better. And that's just one of those things where you have to accept. I talked about this yesterday. You have to accept. You did that shit to yourself. It's going to be a little weird for a little while. It's going to be a little weird in social situations for a little bit. You know, it's those moments that you have to persevere through so that you can then develop the strength and resiliency coming out the other side to know that you can do it and know that you're going to survive it. Eventually, that's going to become your new normal, and then it's not going to be awkward. Then it's just going to be, well, I mean, shit, this is just, I'm used to it now. You know, as a human, that's one of our greatest abilities is adaptation. You'll adapt to the new way eventually. How do you adapt? By keeping doing it. Pretty simple, actually. People make it way harder than it has to be. There was one comment, and stop spying on me. I almost feel like you're trying to get my goat, man. You're just trying to get a rise out of me. And he says on here, because I was talking about in my video yesterday, you know, if you're one of those people, if you're a person who has fibromyalgia, or you have chronic pain, or in your complete sober state, you dealt with severe depression and anxiety all your life, and you need something like Kratom to help with those conditions, that's one thing. Or if you're a person who's a really, really heavy fentanyl user, a heroin user, I'd rather see you go on to, you know, a less dangerous plant like Kratom, obviously, than be on the street corner getting a fentanyl pill from your drug dealer. Obviously, people are dropping dead from that shit, just like that. So, you know, I was making the comment of, but 90% of the people that are using Kratom, if not more, are using it just willy-nilly, like, just want to get high off of it. I'm trying to get a buzz, homie. You know, that's most of what everybody was doing. That's why I was doing it. You know, I wasn't doing it to curtail or diminish any pain or decrease any pain signaling that I was having. It wasn't anything like that. I just enjoyed the buzz, you know. And, of course, stop spying on me, trying to find every excuse, even though he has said that he wants to change the way he uses drugs. He is... Mostly what I'm getting from stop spying on me is excuse after an excuse after an excuse to continue using it. And it shows in this comment. And I'm not picking on you, dude. I'm trying to help you. You know I'm trying to help you. You know I've been spending time on you, brother, trying to help you and help you change your mindset. And his comment said, why do I need a good reason to want to get high? Bro. Do you want to change your use of drugs or not? Do you want to or not? It's all mindset. You know, quitting is 1000% mindset and nothing else. And if you're saying, well, why do I need an excuse to get high? Do you think that's the right mindset to come off of using drugs? Just sounds like another excuse, another reason to use. You don't have to have a reason. You're right. But if you don't find a why and a reason for you to stop, then guess what? You're never going to stop. Now, I'm already 20 days off, so I'm trying to help you out, brother. I'm trying to help you out. Like, what do you think? You know, that's a question for you to answer. Do you think I'm wrong in what I'm saying? That if you don't really have a good reason to use it, then why are you really using it? Or is that your weakened mindset and your tendency as an addict to cower under the umbrella of comfortability? Is that your weakened mindset just giving you another excuse to continue using? You know, stay hard, man. Embrace the suck. You did it to yourself. You're gonna have to pay the piper at some point. It's gonna suck a little bit, but guess what? If you make the correct decisions, despite the suck, you will develop a body of armor And once you walk through that door, you will be significantly stronger than you were before. Strength does not create discipline. Discipline creates strength. Remember that. All right. Love you guys. The weekend is upon us, almost. So I won't be posting any more videos until Monday, but I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment down below, let me know where you're at. I'm pulling for all of you out there. I really appreciate the comments. I've had a lot of guys pop on recently. Hey, I'm here, I'm tapering. I had a couple of people, I don't remember the names right offhand, but I had a couple of people message me yesterday, say they're down to 2.5 grams. They're this close to jumping. I love it, man. I'm pulling for you guys. Love you guys a lot. We'll see you soon. Corey, out.